Imagine waking up tomorrow, not in your bedroom, but in the medieval era. You're launched through a mysterious portal at approximately 1,000 miles per hour, and boom! You crash into a muddy road. Chickens scatter. Villagers scream. You have officially arrived in the year 1300. At first, it looks beautiful. Rolling green fields, massive stone castles, knights riding across the countryside. It's like stepping directly into a fantasy movie. You see a giant fortress towering over the landscape and think, I want to be a knight. I'm going to wear shiny armor and fight dragons. Then you walk into the nearest village. The marketplace is packed. Merchants are shouting. Blacksmiths are hammering steel. But then you notice that the villagers keep staring at you. Which is understandable, because you're literally a walking skeleton. And then you see a man casually throw a bucket of human waste into the street. Right in front of you. The smell hits like a medieval boss battle. You're starting to wonder if medieval Europe might be a little less magical than the movies promised. Because if you think the smell is bad now, just wait until you learn that many people barely bathed. After surviving the smell, your next mission is finding food. Movies have taught you that medieval people spent all day eating giant turkey legs. So you walk into the village market. You see bread. Lots of bread. More bread. An unreasonable amount of bread. It turns out medieval bread wasn't just food. It was basically the operating system of society. Everyone ate bread. But unfortunately, it wasn't always delicious. Some bread contained tiny bits of stone from the grinding process, which slowly wore down people's teeth. Now maybe you're hoping for meat. Bad news. For most people, meat wasn't an everyday thing. Instead, welcome to the pottage, a mysterious medieval stew. Nobody knows exactly what's inside it, including the person cooking it. Vegetables? Beans? Yesterday's leftovers? Meanwhile, rich nobles are hosting giant feasts with roasted swan, boar, venison, and enough food to bankrupt a small kingdom. So while the king is eating like a fantasy movie character, you're eating mysterious stew and bread. And if you think medieval food sounds rough, wait until you discover where people slept. Because tonight, you're going to learn something new. Welcome to medieval sleeping arrangements. First discovery: nobody sleeps alone. You walk into a house and see entire families sharing the same room. Parents, children, possibly a goat. All sleeping together like it's completely normal. Privacy does not exist here, not even emotionally. Your bed, or what they call a bed, is not a mattress. It's a pile of straw inside a wooden frame, with maybe a cloth on top if you're lucky. But don't worry. The straw comes with bonus features, like dust and dirt, sometimes fleas. But the real problem? The cold. Castles are giant stone refrigerators, freezing nightmares at night. So what do people do? They sleep in layers, under blankets, under cloaks, and still shiver. Even kings are not immune, just slightly less miserable. Congratulations! You now realize something important. Medieval life was not built for comfort. It was built for survival. And if you think sleeping in straw is bad, wait until tomorrow, when you discover medieval medicine, because that's where things get really questionable. After surviving the nightmare of sleeping arrangements, you get sick. When you meet your first doctor, he looks confident. He takes one look at you and immediately decides that you need bloodletting, which means opening a vein and removing blood because they believed your body had bathed fluids inside it. Next option? Herbs. always herbs. If it hurts, add more herbs. If it still hurts, more herbs. Surgery does exist, but there's one small problem. No anesthesia, meaning you're completely awake during everything. Doctors also reused tools. Cleaning was optional, survival was not guaranteed. And infections, very common, very deadly. You start to realize that getting treated might be worse than the illness itself. And just when you think it cannot get more chaotic, you meet the medieval dentist. There's one important thing to understand. There is no anesthesia. There's only courage and screaming. The dentist walks in holding tools that look like they were forged in a blacksmith's nightmare. You're told to sit down. Some patients are held still by assistants. The first step is always the same. Examination, which mostly involves poking the tooth until you react. If you react, they've found the problem. Next step, removal. No pain relief. Just metal tools and absolute chaos. Some people faint. Some people scream. Some people regret ever eating bread. And in the corner, another patient is already waiting because the line never ends. You slowly begin to realize this is not healthcare. This is survival with tools. You've survived everything medieval Europe could throw at you. The smell, the food, the sleeping arrangements, the medicine. But medieval dentistry might be the final boss. After surviving a dentist who looked more like a blacksmith, you begin thinking, it must be easy to commit a crime without getting caught. After all, there are no CCTV cameras. So, while exploring a village, you spot a cow barn and decide to sneak inside just to look around. And there, sitting inside the cowshed, is a beautiful fresh cabbage. You grab the cabbage, thinking it has no owner. Wrong. The cow notices that you stole its cabbage, and the cow is furious. What follows is the fastest agricultural pursuit in medieval history. A very angry cow charges directly at you. Villagers join the chase. Now you're running through the village carrying a stolen cabbage while an enraged cow leads a medieval manhunt. Unfortunately, you get captured, and that's when things get weird. Because medieval Europe didn't just put people on trial, sometimes they put animals on trial too. Now you and the angry cow are standing before a judge. The judge listens carefully while the cow moves aggressively. And then you learn about the possible punishments, fines, the stocks, whippings, and much worse for serious crimes. You suddenly realize that stealing a cabbage was not worth it. Medieval Europe may not have had CCTV, but it absolutely had consequences. After surviving the angry cow, you decide to relax. Surely people in medieval Europe had hobbies, right? Yes, and some of them were completely insane. First, there were tournaments, massive events where knights smashed into each other with lances at full speed. Thousands of people came to watch. Then there were fairs, music, traditional dancing, acrobats, basically medieval TikTok. Except nobody was trying to sell you a course. Adults in medieval Europe also gambled a lot. You decide to place a bet, only to lose immediately. Then you discover some more controversial forms of entertainment. You immediately decide not to participate. But before you can leave, a knight challenges you to a jousting match. The crowd cheers. You have no choice but to give it a try, which is how you accidentally end up flying through the air at 30 miles per hour. After being launched into the atmosphere by a knight, you finally find the portal home, still glowing, still waiting. Without hesitation, you jump into the portal. The world begins spinning. Everything blurs, and suddenly, you're back in 2026. Everything feels strange at first. Then you notice something incredible. Hot running water, food that doesn't contain random rocks, dentists that don't look like executioners, a comfy, soft bed that doesn't have fleas, and somehow, the internet. You sit down, open YouTube, and stare at your channel. Maybe you don't have 1 million subscribers. Maybe some videos only get a few views. But then you remember, a medieval farmer would have thought your life was magic. You can make videos for people around the world without ever leaving your room. And maybe you're doing better than you think. Because success isn't always about how far you still have to go. Sometimes it's about realizing how far you've already come. Then your computer vibrates. A new subscriber. You smile. And for the first time since entering medieval Europe, you realize that life is actually pretty good.